Hello, everyone. I'm going to do some testing of audio and visual. So as you guys enter the room, we'll begin in just a few minutes, but I wanted to make sure that everyone can hear me and see my screen. I see a few of you guys are here and on time. So welcome, welcome. Hi, Catherine. How are you? Hi, Melanie. Hello, Cynthia. Yes, perfect. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to do a... Good morning and welcome. Thank you for attending today. I'm excited to get to know each of you. As I'm preparing for the presentation, I would request for each of you to pop into the chat your grade and your school. So just tell me what grade you guys are in and what school you guys are attending right now. 10th grade, 11th grade, Ferguson. Thank you for joining us, Cynthia. Yes, thank you for moderating the session. I'm excited. Feel free to also join in on the activity that we're doing today with the students in the class as well. I have a lot of friends that also love to participate in this session as well. So it will be interactive, and you will need a pen and a paper of some sort. You can also use your phone devices if you're a fast typer. So there will be some interactive writing in this session. So prepare, please make sure that you have something to write with or jot down some ideas. I'm excited to get started. Okay, I'm going to share screen here. Okay, so everyone can see my screen, correct? Perfect. Okay, so the ultimate selfie. The ultimate selfie is a facilitation of non-Googleable knowledge. So when we talk about the ultimate selfie, I really want you to hone in on the idea of what you guys think of a selfie in general, and then also be thinking about what your ultimate selfie looks like, meaning a filterless view of the world. So a lot of us are familiar with the idea of taking a selfie, right? And how does that relate to your life today? So first and foremost, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Megan Fitzpatrick. My students, when I used to teach in high school, used to call me Fitz. I guess Fitzpatrick is a little bit of a long last name. So meet me, Fitz. I'm an edupreneur. What that means is I'm an entrepreneur in the education space. I started in the high school classroom. I used to teach high school math at Miami Beach Senior High School, and before that at Coral Reef Senior High School. I was looking at some of the high schools there. I'm also a graduate of Miami-Dade County Public Schools, so I attended Miami Southridge Senior High School as well. So I'm born and raised in the county of Dade, 305, definitely, and I'm a dog mom. As soon as pandemic hit, my home became my office, and with that being said, my coworker became my 15-year-old mixed breed Trixie here that you can see on the screen. She's kind of over taking selfies at this point because she's become my test pilot on different backgrounds, but she's definitely keeps me company. Pre-pandemic and the virtual world, the ultimate selfie was done face-to-face in different environments, such as the CIC, which is thank you very much, Melissa. CIC, which is a co-working space in downtown Miami, and then some other co-working spaces in Midtown. Now, what exactly is the ultimate selfie, and what am I here to talk to you about today? So some of you guys were in the Craft Your Story presentation before this, and I got a chance to listen to what she had to say in that session, and totally aligns with what we're going to be talking about today. Now, being yourself is your superpower, so use it well. So for those of you that were in that session about crafting your message, This is what we're going to be talking about. The landscape of education has changed so drastically that now we want to see exactly who you are as students. Now, what do I mean by that? Even the Common App, which is the application process of applying to college, changed a little bit in how they ask their questions. They are asking students questions such as, how did you use the time or the break to better yourself? Or how did you or your family, how were you affected by this? And so what that says to me as an educational professional is that we're looking at a shift in education. And we're looking at the shift being that colleges and post-secondary programs are, essays about yourself are so nerve-wracking. The good thing about that is that we're going to be talking about core values today that's going to help craft that message for you. And it's, yes, answering the question of who are you is nerve-wracking. You know, you get in front of your computer and you can write for days about certain subjects as long as you research them, because you have all the information, and it's like, what about me is so different, right? Like, and who and how can I put that on paper and show my personality? And part of that is within who you are as a person. So I like to say that this ultimate selfie is really answering the question of what's next for me and how does that look, right? So when we're talking about who you are, the ultimate selfie is facilitating non-Googleable knowledge. So being a goal digger, make sure that you hone in and zoom in on that, what that says. Being a goal digger, meaning setting goals for yourself and attaining them. Within the curriculum of the Ultimate Selfie, or within the process of the Ultimate Selfie, you learn things like how to set goals, how to set long-term and short-term goals, but then in addition to that, how to set sub-goals within them. Yes, exactly. Love that. So hashtag that, hashtag goal digger. Feel free to take pictures of this, take selfies of yourself in this session, and then hashtag the ultimate selfie. My Instagram handle is @thefitsolution. You'll see that at the end of the presentation today. You'll be able to actually send me a message on how you felt about today's presentation. So hashtag goal digger, definitely something that I have made a huge part of who I am and what I represent. So what is the ultimate selfie, and what are the standard agreements, and which I invite you to really hone in on and think about today? So sustaining a growth mindset. A lot of you in different strands of your high school careers have heard this idea of growth mindset, but what does it really mean? So how many of you have heard of this idea of growth mindset? And so when we're thinking about growth mindset versus fixed mindset, sustaining a growth mindset just means continually answering the question of where can I grow? It doesn't necessarily mean you have to have all the answers, right? And so when I'm working with some of my students and my clients, part of having a growth mindset is saying, I don't have all the answers. Like, can you help me? And when we're talking about creating your ultimate selfie and creating your goals, you may not have all the answers of the steps to get there, but just in asking the question of, can you help me? That is maintaining a growth mindset. Second is engaging fully in the discovery of who you are. So ultimately leading with the question of who are you versus what do you want to do next, right? So honing in on who you are is a really empowering. Yes, Drake, what's next? You're already, Brandon, you're already kind of sort of skipping ahead there, because part of the ultimate selfie is turning your L's into lessons and really honing and really kind of identifying the fact that you can fail forward. So turning your L's into lessons is a big one in the ultimate selfie, and then learning who you are is a part of that. Flourishing in the discovery of who you are and inviting all ideas. I like to also refer to this as the unschool. So some of what you may have learned in the past needs to be kind of reconstructed and rebalanced. So enjoying the process in and of itself. This is not going to be a perfect process, and it's not going to be something that's going to be set in stone. We call these ideas living documents. So just like you and me need water, sunlight, and exercise, we also need that within our goals. Water your goals, look at them, prune them back, and then decide how to move from there. A beautiful garden or a beautiful bush only works when you prune it back. And so what that means is that sometimes you got to take a step back to read the label of the jar you're in, and asking your friends and family, turning your L's into lessons. Yes, yes. Asking your friends and family for advice or wisdom. Now, one of the things I like to set the stage for here is the difference between advice and wisdom. When we are looking for different answers to things, a lot of people will come to us with saying, I read something somewhere, I did something somewhere. That's referred to as advice, and that has its own importance. However, wisdom is where you go to people that have experience, personal experience in that space, and that is sharing wisdom. And that is what the ultimate selfie is all about: sharing my wisdom of my experience in the classroom, my experience in building a business, and my experience in working with teenagers like yourself on this ever-changing landscape of education and what it looks like. We have just made a huge shift in education, meaning we've transformed how we learn overnight. Teachers in the room, I congratulate you, because what you've been able to do in the last 9 months is inspiring. And students, what you guys have been able to do in the last 9 months is really, truly inspiring. Being able to shift from your face-to-face every day to what you're doing in the virtual space definitely is a skill that you will maintain for the rest of your life. So congratulations. Now, here is where I'm going to need you to take out your sheets of paper and take a minute. You're going to have 5 minutes to write down every single value that aligns with who you are on this slide. So you're going to have 5 minutes to write down every single value that aligns with, yes, you can use the notes app on your phone. Just type, quick typer, write down every single thing that aligns with who you are as a person. The one thing I want to remind you as you're writing your list is this is not all core values that exist. This is a pretty comprehensive list, but if you feel that there's something missing from here, that there is a core value that you know that aligns with you that's not on this list, feel free to add it to the list. No worries. We're about halfway done. So once you're finished, pop in done into the chat, and we have about 2 minutes left here. So writing down everything that aligns with you that's on the screen. Okay, we've got a few people coming in saying that they're done. I'm just going to give it about 1 more minute here to make sure that everyone gets the chance to complete what they're doing there. Thank you so much for yes, yes. And so when we talk about our core values, this, like I said before, is not the end all be all of list of core values, right? Now, most of you guys are like, your hand's probably hurting. You need to do a little wrist rotations. And for those of you that have the opportunity after this exercise, I'd love for you guys to share with your friends. You're going to share with me. Now I'd invite you to look at the list, and I want you to either count the number. You need at least 25. So you're looking at the list that you wrote down, sorry, at most 25. Looking at the list that you wrote down of all your core values on the paper, and you need at most 25 core values written on your paper. So if you have more than 25, you need to eliminate a few. If you have less than 25, leave it just like that. I know. I had you write down. I had you write down quite a bit of words, but there's a mission to the madness in terms of how this is done. So the first part of it, so that you guys understand, the first part of it is 13 is fine. Don't worry about it. The first part of it is to really open you up to your own discovery of like looking at different core values. The next one is to kind of sort of streamline them. Ashlyn, 13 is just fine. Bernicia. I think I'm saying your name right. I apologize if I'm not. You 40, you will definitely, 10 is just fine. You're actually skipping to the end of the activity there, Melissa, but that's okay. That's okay. The next part you'll be able to participate in. Okay, now that you've eliminated down to 25, what I'd like you to do is on your papers or on your papers or in the computer somewhere or on your notes, what you're going to do is categorize them into 5 different categories. So what exactly does that mean? It means that if you have 25, 17, 10, it doesn't really matter. What you need to do is look at, yeah, hi Mariah, how are you? Welcome. On the screen, you'll see a list of core values. And in this list, I'd like you to write down 25 that align to you. I'm going to give the rest of the participants the next step. But for right now, write down 25 core values that align to you. For those that already have your 25, you're going to create 5 different buckets. Now, these categories are completely up to you on how you categorize them, meaning that if you wrote down family as the first core value on your list, and then the next core value that you wrote down was security, if you feel that family and security belong in the same category, then put them there. If you feel that family and security have different categories, you're going to put family in the first category and security in the second category, and then go to your third core value. And make sure that you're categorizing all of them. So for example, if you have 10, you may have 2 in each category, or you may have 3 in your first category, 1 in your second category, 1 in your third category. You are making up the categories for your own core values. Now, the categories do not have to have names. You are just basically grouping different core values that you feel align with each other. No, it's just feelings. You do not have to name the categories. It's just what you feel, how they align. So does adventure to you align with love? For me, those are 2 different categories. For some people, adventure is love. However, family and love, in my opinion and in my feeling, belong in the same category. Once you have them categorized in all 5 categories, just pop into the chat that you're done, and I will give you the next step in this activity. For those of you still working, your assignment or the request is you're making a list of your core values, and then you're assigning them to 5 different categories. Now you're going to look at each of those categories and choose one within each category. So at the end, you should have a list of 5 circled core values. When you are complete with the 5 circled core values, pop them into the chat. Hi, Alanis. Yes. Welcome, welcome. So on your screen, you will see, yes. Okay. So after, I'm going to explain the whole thing from start to finish. Once you see all of these words on your screen, these are lists of potential core values. You're going to make a list of 25, and then you are going to a 25 maximum. Then you are going to categorize those 25 into 5 different categories. It does not mean that you need to have 5 core values in each category. All it means is that you're aligning different core values that connect to each other. Now, what do I mean by that? If I wrote down family, love, and adventure on my list, family and love to me align with each other and they would be in the same category, but adventure would be in its own category. Ashlyn, great. In loyalty, integrity, intelligence, leadership, and family. Awesome. Family, respect, adventure, forgiveness, and generosity. Family, finesse, freedom, love, and spiritualism. So when we're talking about our core values, as we let some of the participants complete the activity, I want to have you guys look at, as your fellow classmates are writing down their core values, most of us will have different core values, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're right or wrong. And what does this have to do with next steps in life? Loyalty, advancement, communication, power. Family, wisdom, pride in work, renewal, and adventure. Great. So you choose one from each category. Yes. Success, intelligence, creativity, spiritualism, and affection. As these core values are popping into the chat, you realize that most of the participants are going to have different core values. Your friends, your family may also have different core values. I invite you guys after this session today and after this workshop today, have a conversation with your parents on what their core values are and where they come from. Now, looking at your list, the final step of this activity is to tongue twisted there, is to write a tweet, meaning you're limited to 140 characters. as to why these 5 are important to you. What makes them important to you? Why are these 5 important to you? And what shapes these in you? So why is family important to you, Gabriella? Why is loyalty important to you, Maya? Why is security important to you, Carla? You may or may not use all of them. There we go. Communication, intelligence, friendship, relations, respect, love, communication, fun, loving. Now, these align so much with crafting your message of who you are. And just like somebody said at the beginning, yes, I do not under any circumstances advise that you start your college personal essay with core values. However, this would definitely be a great place to start, meaning that tweet that I'm asking you to write, where does the core value of family, where's the foundation in it? A great personal statement, whether it be for college, post-secondary, or any educational assignment that you have, or even just journaling, really is truly crafted in the story of where it comes from and the why. And so take a few minutes looking at your core values and thinking to yourself, why are these my core values? Why is honesty so important, so important to you, Jackie? And why is creativity important to you, Samantha? And where did they come from? Was there something that happened to you growing up as a child? Is there something that's happened to you in high school that really sort of aligns with you, and what shaped this? Now, again, like I said at the beginning, maybe in 10, 15 years, if you redo this activity, you reach out to me and you say, Megan, remember when we did that activity? I want to do it again. Some things may shift for you because you have different experience. This is what we call the living document. Now, the living document of your core values shifts and changes. However, you don't see that the big of a shift and change. Now, how does this align to the next steps, meaning after high school or choosing a career or going into a trade? How does this align to you? Every single company, profession, boss, etc., will have a list of core values that will be aligned to them. Colleges, universities also have vision and mission statements. And helping and making decisions based on what really helps to shape you as a better person and aligns to you and your core values really is the key to being able to find your ultimate selfie. So as you're looking at this list, what's coming up for you? Any kind of stories that really align to what's going on here? What kind of family connections, if you chose family, if you chose love, if you chose respect, if you chose communication, what is coming up for you for why you think that these things are important to you? Loyalty, intelligence, change, affection, and adventure. Great job. And so as you are, kind of sort of going through the next couple of days, this is where the transition, the first part of the transition of the ultimate selfie really begins. It's at your values and who you are as a person. The ultimate selfie is founded in the foundation of who you are and what are your strengths and core values, then aligning it to your passions. So when you continue, or if you'd like to continue with the ultimate selfie process, that would be next steps. Now, does anybody want to share with where you think that these core values kind of started for you? So if you have a core value of love, and it's something that you hold near and dear. So one of my core values is actually honesty. Now, my core value of honesty stems from a situation that happened in my family where certain family members weren't honest with me, and something very tragic happened in my family. And so for a long time, I walked around with a lot of anger. And why did I walk around with a lot of anger? Because I wasn't able to really connect the fact that my core values were being pulled against me when I became a teenager in middle school. And then there's certain activities and changes that happen to you. For example, one of the past participants also had a shared core value of honesty, of the ultimate selfie. Her dream was to become a music artist, a solo music artist, and she was ready to, build out a whole studio. She was amazing. She actually sung opera. singing as well, and her parents fully supported the idea of her becoming a solo music artist. However, in uncovering her core values and me connecting with her with some of the people in the music industry, honesty was not something that was at the forefront of the market, of the actual career. There's a lot of dishonesty sometimes in that path. And so I think mine came from how I was raised and thought, and also my experiences. Yes. And so when she was challenged with this idea of looking at her core value and looking what she wanted to do, next steps in her life, she chose to actually go a different path, because she did not feel that it was going to be a comfortable path to always be pushed against her core values and what she wanted to do. And so when I say like, how did this come up for you? You do not feel that you have to share. Just take a few minutes looking at your list of core values and looking at how they relate. Fond family and friends rather than birth family. Yeah. I really, truly love the idea of, friends are the family you get to choose. I love my family sometimes, but I definitely think that, friends are the family that you get to choose. And as you guys are going through your high school careers and building those relationships and really looking at what shapes you and who you are, there's certain situations that may come up that may pull against these core values. And they may pull you in directions that, peers may say, oh, no, it's fine. But you have that little gut feeling inside. And so I empower you to really look at these core values and say to yourself, in those situations, it's okay that I don't want to go in that path. It's okay that I'm just not comfortable with that. And it's okay if certain decisions have to be made on who I align with and who I don't align with. It does not make you a negative person or a bad person. It's just who you are as a person today and how it shapes your life. So as you kind of sort of navigate the next couple of days, there's going to be some shifts in how you're thinking because of this activity and what you've been able to really look at and how it shapes who you are. So the first step in the ultimate selfie journey is identifying your core values. Communication always, because yeah. Now, communication is a tool that I've even had to learn through my years of teaching, number one, in the classroom, but number two, doing this work. Now, what exactly does that mean? I love the quote of listening to understand versus listening to respond. Now, this particular quote I learned of a few years ago in my adult years, past high school, but I embark this wisdom on you because being able to listen to understand versus listening to respond is something that even adults struggle with. And so if you can take one little golden nugget away from today, it would be a gold digger first, and then listen to understand versus listening to respond. A lot of times in communication, it's not necessarily verbal communication that needs to take place. It's more so the listening and the understanding. And sometimes a response isn't always needed. So great feedback there. And so when we talk about core values, we have just about 10 more minutes here. And I want to make sure that I get to the end of the presentation. I love all the feedback, and I will definitely be giving you guys my contact information on how to further this as things go on. Yes, if you're already thinking about a response, you're not really listening. And listen, it is a skill that I have to learn over and over again. And I say learn because there's different levels of communicating and there's different levels of listening as I go deeper into understanding and working with teenagers like yourself and working with adults and different teachers. I really do have to learn different ways to listen, to respond. This is a whole new way of listening, right? Like I'm presenting to you and reading at the same time, but also listening to each of your responses. And just like you guys are doing in the virtual setting of the classroom, this is a new way of learning and it's transitioning through time. Yeah. So So I would, the other thing that you can do in the listening skill set, a little tidbit of wisdom there, is if you feel that you're being disconnected from what they're saying, it's okay to say something along the lines of, I really want to give you the attention that this deserves. Can you just give me a few minutes to collect my thoughts? And that's going to empower not only you as the listener to kind of sort of reset yourself, but also it's going to empower whoever's sharing information with you. Now, it doesn't need to be so formal in that way, but that just gives you a little bit of direction in how that looks. So what are your core values? One of the foundations of the Ultimate Selfie is that core values. And so when you're talking about the core values, the other pillar to the Ultimate Selfie is something called your strengths. Now, what I'd like to offer to each of you is an opportunity to reach out to me to get some direction on what that looks like to really identify your strengths. You know, with this session, I was able to do the core values activity in the time allotted. And if looking at your strengths and looking at who you are is something that you are interested in learning more about, please feel free to reach out to me via Instagram, and I will be happy to have a conversation with you. So here is who I am and what I represent online. I invite everyone to take out your phones at this time. I'm hoping that the share screen doesn't mess it up. You can take a picture of that QR code in the middle of your screen. It will bring you right to my website. So let's see. I'm going to practice. I'm going to see on my computer, my phone too, if it works. There you go. Perfect, perfect. Sometimes share screen will do that. That brings you right to my website where you can contact me in there. Yes, perfect, perfect. I love it when technology works. Love it when technology works. So a little bit about what I do the Ultimate Selfie is it's founded on teenagers like you. So this program only works when I have feedback from teenagers like yourself. And what does that mean? It means that every single step of me building this in the online space, which is what I'm going to next, requires input from students like yourself. And so right now, I want you to give me your feedback on how you felt about the core values activity. Totally, Melissa. I mean, totally. Like, you know, you put on all this work, you put on all these things, it looks really pretty on the screen, and then you're like, dun, dun, dun. So how did you guys enjoy, not enjoy the core values activity? Perfect. Love it. Love it. It was hard. I mean, it's hard to take a look at yourself. I mean, I can't remember. I apologize. I can't remember who said it at the beginning, but there was one participant that said at the beginning of the session, they were talking all about how it was hard to write an essay about you. Now I've given you 5 different pathways. So now that you have your 5 core values, you can really look at each of those, and you can really kind of sort of, you can identify where they come from in your life. And maybe one of those can align to your personal statements for your essays. So if college is your next step, again, I am a facilitator of what's next for you, not necessarily facilitating solely on college. So I facilitate students on understanding what's next for them. Is it trade school? Is it going into a career? And is it college? And what do each of those paths look like? And what do steps after each of those paths look like? So yeah. And you know, if I would have said pick 5 that align with you in the beginning, it would have changed the dynamic of the activity, because then you're really looking at them and you're kind of eliminating. and you're not really aligning to who you are. It helps you to really hone in on each of those. So it helps you to align more with who you are when you're given freedom and then given slight instruction and slight instruction. This is similar to the activity of goal setting. There's something called SMART goal setting in the Ultimate Selfie. It's SMART means specific, M means measurable, A means achievable, R means realistic, and T means time bound. And this is done in a similar fashion where we create big goals and then make them into smaller goals to align to long-term and then short-term goals. You probably have done activities similar to this in your classes, in your specific classes, and been able to kind of sort of identify what the sub goals are. Now, how does this align to next steps for you? So as you are exploring what's next for you, and as you are going through each of the sessions in today's conference, I really invite you to say to yourself, who am I? Versus what do I want to do? The who am I as a precursor of what you want to do, because when I was in high school, everyone wanted to be an anesthesiologist because that's what was making the money at the time. However, we kind of sort of ignored the happiness part or the satisfaction part. And what I've been able to see with teenagers like yourselves is that satisfaction is key. Being able to align what you're doing next step with who you are as a person is the key to happiness in the future. Now, by no circumstances does this mean that you're not going to struggle along the way a little bit, but in the mess is your message. And what that really helps you to hone in on as a future college graduate, trade school graduate, and career bound is to have greater self-confidence and greater self-worth. Successful, happy. Oh yeah. So, okay, psychiatrists. So there's different pathways for the field of psychology. There are multiple different career paths in psychology. And what exactly does that mean? It means that there's a whole psychology now of positivity. It's called the MAP, Masters of Applied Positive Psychology. And that particular applied psychology is all about shifting your focus. And there's also something called human design, where the psychology of how things are designed. And so when you're looking at the field of psychology, the world is really your oyster. And it also can take different paths based on what you're trying to accomplish. Now, psychiatry is a specific, yes, required of med school kind of pathway. However, you can take the steps that are needed and make small goals and then go to the next step. You eat an apple in small bites or in bites versus eating the whole thing. I'm really messing up sayings recently, so sorry about that. I don't think that that's the saying, but we're going to go with it for this presentation. So taking small bites of your goals and really looking at them. I also invite you to reach out to me because I can connect you with some people in the actual field, so you can ask some very specific questions as to what it looks like to get there. So I do invite you to reach out to me via social media, which I will give you my contact information outside of just my website, where I can connect you to some people in the field where you can ask them relatable questions. So I want to kind of continue on that thread there. Does anybody have any specific questions similar to what she had asked in reference to what's next for you? As we close in the next few minutes, I want to make sure that I give you guys a minute to ask any questions in reference to what kind of fields of study or what's next for you and what's aligning for you. Here is my contact information as well, so you can take a minute and jot that down. But we have just about 5 more minutes here, and I want to make sure that I give you guys time to ask any questions that you may have. So the invitation that I gave to you earlier is true. You can reach out to me via Instagram. I am always looking for interns to be able to pilot my online platforms of different activities, such as the one that you saw earlier. And so if that's of interest to you at all, please reach out to me, and I will connect also with the head of this to give you guys contact information. And I invite you to send me a direct message if you don't want to share here in the chat. I completely understand that. So you can send me a direct message on Instagram. Be sure to follow and then send the message, and then I will be happy to answer it there too. So it's a little bit more private if you have a specific question that you don't want to ask in today's session. I do want to pull the room on what colleges or what post-secondary plan you are looking to achieve. Like, what's your path? College, okay. I mean, the landscape of college is changing so quickly. So I definitely see some good changes happening in the next year or so with what it looks like. I mean, we've already seen them with some of the schools lessening requirements of standardized testing. I am a proponent of alternative ways of assessing students and looking at holistic views of who the student is versus just an SAT score. Again, I can say that because I am a private educator. So medical field, the medical field is a vast one. Now, where I shied away from the medical field because I felt that I couldn't, not that I'm scared of blood, the goriness of it just wasn't for me. But if the medical field is something that you're interested in, I would have you consider, sorry about that. I would have you consider reaching out to some local professionals in the area. You can do that via LinkedIn as well, where you can just connect with them, or different kinds of recruiters in the area, or different schools that are specific to that. Now, the medical field, there's multiple different avenues that you can take. There's the research avenue, and again, the medical field can go anywhere from like a trade school medical or anything. Okay, so I knew this question was going to come up. So attending college. I definitely agree that if college or furthering your education is a goal for you, then let's set that goal, right? But if it is something that you are contemplating that your path requires a trade school or a gap year, I also talk to my clients about that. So attending college, I would definitely look at things outside of just the traditional questions of do they have the career choice that I may want? What are their student services like? These are referred to as wraparound services. So what do they look like if I'm getting homesick? Also, what does it look like for me to travel home if I need to? So what does that mean? It means, am I going to have to get on 3 planes and it's going to take me 11 hours to get home? And then finally, I also now have added to that list of what did the colleges I'm looking at, what was their response to the most recent pandemic, and what did it look like for their students? And being able to talk to students that attend there. So photography, great career choice. And I would also have you consider looking at the business aspect of photography so that you have the skill set to be able to, use your skills in photography, but also build a business around it. So meaning how to price your photography. Building a book is important. Photography, I want to be a pediatric nurse. I've been taking nursing classes since my sophomore year. Pediatric nurse, I mean, we saw in the pandemic how necessary nurses were. So it is definitely a career choice that's there. I also would have you consider what it would take to get there, and then mapping out what the next couple of years look like for you, and what kind of internships the school of choice that you're offers you so that you can get hands-on experience. Yes, very different. I mean, photography and nursing are very different. History and politics. So political science is something I'd have you consider, Angel, because it is something that can definitely kind of sort of hit on both. But there's also multiple different avenues in the international political space that may be of interest to you as well. And then, teaching is something that, I did for many years and still am a huge proponent of. I would have you also look at what about history and what about politics really interests you. So honing in a little bit more there. And then a quick Google search can also help you to kind of sort of hone in on careers that align to those two things. So what is it about politics that interests you, and what is it about history that interests you? The medical field is rough. I'm going to call a spade there, and really talk to you about what, like we started this session, right? Like, who are you as a person, and what core values do you have, and do those align with the medical field, and do they align with your end goal, and what does it look like? So psychologist in the Air Force, great career path if you're looking to attend any kind of armed services, from the financial perspective of being able to really pay for college. It's a great career path for that, and then also setting you up for success outside of the armed services. Dermatologist, and then work my way up to being a nurse practitioner. So dermatology is great. Love it. Nurse practitioner, you're very, very welcome. You're very welcome. Nurse practitioner, also great career path and requires less in the schooling space. So I'm thinking that definitely it could be something that could be of interest. And then field of business and fashion. I had a friend of mine that did a startup in the field of business and fashion. I would recommend looking into fashion business schools that have a path of fashion design or fashion merchandising. There's a lot of opportunity there, and then there's also opportunity in the merchandising space to get internships as well, to work with some of the larger companies. And in the virtual world, now the world is your oyster, guys. Like, most of these larger companies are offering internships from the virtual space, so you can do it right from your home. So that's definitely something to consider, reaching out to some of these people. And if you are looking for how to reach out, because I give all these tips on reaching out. If how to reach out is something that you're a little bit concerned with, I can also help with that too. Be sure to follow me on social media at The Fits Solution, and I will engage in your questions. Neonatal nurse. Neonatal requires a lot of compassion. So Gabriella, congratulations on considering that path, and really looking at what you want to do next, and that you can combine the two in terms of teaching, eventually in a teaching hospital in the neonatal surgery. So politics and business, yes. You're welcome, Melissa. You're welcome. Ultrasound tech and echocardiograms. Ultrasound tech is a technical trade, so definitely something that you can do pretty quickly. The turnaround is pretty quick, and then you can see if you like it, and kind of sort of align yourself with that. Again, reaching out to people in the field is definitely something I always recommend. And then politics with the business field. I mean, there's a lot of political funding that goes into the business structure, and then campaign management is something that definitely comes to mind if you're going to put politics with business. And then politics with business, also nonprofit organizations. There's a lot of politics involved in nonprofit organizations. And so if, looking at your core values, seeing if something aligns in the nonprofit space, because then there's a lot of synergy there. Pediatric surgery, but it takes time. Yes. Definitely takes time. I'm so grateful I am over time. I have to run to my next session, but I'm so grateful for each of you for attending today. And I'm so grateful for all the feedback. And I really look forward to connecting with you guys. And if you guys, again, have any questions, this is my contact information. I will be happy to answer them. Give me a little while, but as the requests come in, I will be more than happy to connect with you guys. You are so welcome, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Enjoy the rest of the session, and make sure that you connect with some of those colleges to ask some of those very specific questions that I also left you with. Have a wonderful day, everyone.